Hey there. So I learned something new yesterday. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of what the Mandela effect is, but I've never actually heard of it before. But I do remember hearing about the Mandela, him dying in prison, and people not, um, or remembering him dying in prison, but him then dying just a few years ago, and they had the ceremony for him. Um, I think it was way before I even started to get into any of this stuff. That's why I very vaguely remember that. Now with the other thing that I do remember is the Bernestein Bears, and how their name was spelled. It was definitely E-I-N and not A-I-N like it is now spelled. So that's why I'm making this video, because that proves that history can be altered, and they are doing it for a specific reason, especially when it's that small. It's just one letter that they're changing. And I did the gematria on it, and they changed it to the AIN, which when you break that down, it equals 44 and 107 in gematria. And I found the other thing that equals 44 and 107 is Aquarius, which is the age we are supposed to be going into, that we are currently transitioning into right now, the age of Aquarius, which I think is kind of obvious with all the crazy things going on in the world and just how everything looks right now. It looks weird. Even just outside, it looks, in Phoenix at least, it looks very odd for how it usually is this time of the year. It's been very, very cloudy almost every day, which it never is. It's almost always sunny every day. The sun also has been extremely hot, which it was that hot all winter. It was like it was summer all winter here when the sun was out. It was only 70 degrees outside, but if you were standing in the sun, it felt like 100 degrees. Which it's usually not like that in here, even in the winter. Even though the sun is very hot, but it's not that hot during that time of the year. I think I talked about this in my video about my opinion on the world, but they are absolutely changing history around us, which I figured that they could do that, and I think the way that they are doing it is by changing our subconscious through all these entertainment uh, outlets that they have out there, through what they're putting out of the entertainment. I believe they're changing our subconscious to actually change the reality that we are in. Because I don't think that it's just as simple as them saying, let's change this, and to make it different, to reprogram us. I think they have to actually reprogram us through this world to change how this world is, which which is how I believe the world is manifested, is through us. So if it's through us, they can't just change it. They need us to actually change it, which will only happen if they change how our subconscious is working, which they have complete control of most of our subconsciouses. And we would never know if they change something in our subconscious to change the reality. We just notice that this isn't how it used to be, because that's how we remember it in our brain, and we're not connected enough with our subconscious to know that they're actually changing it with what we are looking at, because the whole entire world is coded with all of these numbers, and especially 44 and 107, which also equals earthquake. Earthquake breaks down to both of those numbers, which I believe there's going to be a big earthquake sometime soon. As I said in one of my other videos, they always talk about the California earthquake and how it can happen at any time. There's this huge wildfire going on in Canada right now that is 4 times the size of New York, and they said that it might burn all the way through the winter into next year. That doesn't even make sense. How can it burn that long? I mean, it's going to engulf. I mean, I have no idea how much land, but I would imagine a huge chunk of Canada. It's already moving into the next province to the west, or I don't know if it was to the west or east, but it's moving into the next province already. Um, and they're talking about it keep on going that long. It's going to be huge. uh, there's just a lot of things going on right now that you can see that things are changing around us. Because something's going to happen, I believe. The other thing I wanted to say is with Aquarius, I believe that these zodiacs, they all come in sections. So there's 12 zodiacs that line up with the 12 months. That's why we had a different zodiac sign for each month. But how long they actually are, they're very long periods, which I believe, I'm not sure the exact time, but it very closely lines up with the Mayan long count calendar, which is some 3,000 and something years, which that's about how long the zodiac signs are, because it's totals 12,000 and something, and it's all split evenly in between them. But the zodiac is another circle that we're trapped in. We keep going around the zodiacs in a circle. So, and each of them are supposed to represent a different time, a different type of way of life. Like Aquarius is supposed to be logic and reason and love. So we change to that, but then eventually we end right back up in this hell that we're in right now. That's how they trap us, is by giving us something better, but then it all comes right back around through the hell again. Because it confuses us. It confuses our subconscious. All these circles do. It confuses the hell out of our subconscious because of how they give it to us. And I remember in KRS-One song, which I talked about this in my other video, I said how no one's coming to save us. This same song, it's called 2012. He says that we have been shifting, which in this song he's talking about the Mayan calendar. We have been shifting since 1980 till about 2016 is when the shift will end. And in the song he was trying to dispel that there was going to be any apocalypse that happened in 2012. I think the song has a lot of a truth in it. And being in the year 2016, with him saying that the shifting is going to end around the year 2016, I think definitely points to something happening in 2016, or the start of something happening that's going to change a lot in this world. That's why they're changing these little things around us, to get our subconscious prepared to whatever is going to be happening in the future, which I don't think it's any mistake that the Bernestain Bears Gematria is exactly as what Aquarius is and exactly what earthquake is. But I definitely can see an earthquake bringing in the Aquarius age by wiping out a part of the population, a huge part of the population, that then they can reprogram the rest of us into the next age. It will be a lot easier when there's less people, especially when you don't have the technology around you necessarily. You can just have everyone forget everything, like I talked about in my other video. Then plus they can actually change what we remember. That's just going to confuse the hell out of everyone else, because their memories aren't, a lot of people's memories aren't that strong because of all of the chemicals and everything they ingest. That's exactly why they give us all of this junk, so that when we do know that we've seen something that we know is different, we second guess ourselves up and down, because we don't have the connection with our body and mind to really remember concretely that is exactly how it was. Because when we have that connection, we will remember everything. And that's the whole point of all these chemicals and everything, is so that we don't remember what is going on around us, so that when it does change, this exact type of thing happens. It's the Mandela effect. It's something that people just talk about, but you can't necessarily prove. But I just watched a video on YouTube where this guy actually found an archive of a website where they change. He sees where they change it, the dates they change it between on, which I'll include in the comment or in the description down there. You can check it out yourself. But on, I think it was April 4th, it was still Bernstein Bears on the website, which was it's like a cartoon website that has this list of all kinds of old cartoons. And on April 7th, it's Bernstein then, which those are the 2 dates that they have archived. So somewhere in between there, it was in, I think it was in 2001, 2000 or 2001. Somewhere in between there is where this got changed, which is right. If it was 2001, that's right when 9/11 happened. There's a lot of big things that happened around that time, and it's even when these things get changed, I'm sure it's no mistake. Because why wouldn't they go back to the very beginning and change it so there's absolutely no record of it being Bernstein? It it just doesn't really make much sense to me. But now I'm thinking, how would the books be Bernstein, but that website wasn't changed until then? So because the URL actually never changed, it always stayed Bernstein. So unless they had to actually physically go back and change the digital stuff, because maybe digital things in this world is actually in some other type of universe below, and you have to change that separately, which with all the printed stuff, that could change when they change the history of it. But the digital archives might not change. I don't know. I have to think about that one more. But I'll also include the video I watched in the bottom. But that definitely was something that changed in our history. I'm sure there's a lot more, because I always look at things and say, I don't think that was there just yesterday. But a lot of times it's stuff that I see out the corners of my eyes and I'm not paying 100% attention to all the time. Like, especially like even rides that I take every day, like to work, I sometimes notice things that there's no way that whole thing could have been built in one day. But I'm not 100% sure because I don't actually look at what was there before I notice that there's this big structure there now, or the whole entire thing's a different color, or there's a fence around it. I'm sure a lot of you people have these feelings when you come past stuff, but we don't pay 100% attention to everything around us all the time. So it makes it a lot easier to change the stuff around us. That's basically all I had to say. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks. Have a good night.